Hello, everybody, and welcome to Office Hours. I'm so glad that you're here, and I am really excited to take your questions. So I can already see that we've got some people on, so I'm just going to run through.
Everybody, and welcome to
what?
Office Hours.
I'm
so glad that you're here, and I
Jesus,
am really
sorry.
excited to take.
Okay, so basically, we're also being streamed live on YouTube, which is why that happened, and you could literally hear me there. Okay, so let's get back to housekeeping. I can see that some of you are already here, so I'm going to take your questions in a minute. And I also have some questions submitted from people who couldn't join live. So the precedence is going to go to people who are already on. So if you have a question, what I recommend you do is you raise your hand. So press that raise hand thing at the bottom, and then I will unmute you and you can ask your question. If you are in a place where it's super loud and you can't raise your hand and ask your question live, then just type your question in and I will answer it. So basically I'll read it out and I will answer it. Is that okay with everybody? Okay, so when I see your hands go up, by the way, Ella, nice to see you. Haven't seen you for ages. Once I see your hands go up, I will start answering them. I'm not seeing any questions coming in from the live audience yet, so I will deal with what has come in. Okay, so one of my newsletter readers, they said that so it was a person who said, I currently work in banking and I want to get out and I want to join a fintech. I'm quite senior, and what is your advice? Okay, I actually get this question quite often. For some reason, there are people who are quite senior in investment banking and feeling pretty miserable. Well, at least you guys are super rich, so hopefully you can afford the therapy. All right, fine. I'll be serious. The thing is, when you are working in a super prestigious organization, imagine if you're a banker at Goldman Sachs or JP Morgan or whatever, there is a certain amount of prestige and you are used to that level of prestige. And basically, you're super used to people being mega nice to you. And your assistant probably has an assistant. And where you want to go, maybe you want to go to Revolut, maybe you want to go to a Monzo, maybe you want to go to an even smaller fintech startup. If you want to go to a younger kind of challenger fintech organization, you're not going to have that. Like your assistant is not going to have an assistant, and it's going to be a very different pace of life and also kind of a different attitude to you. If you are like a VP at an investment bank, like everybody kind of worships you. That is not going to happen in a fast-growing fintech company. So first of all, I would ask yourself, like just be really honest with yourself. Do you genuinely want this? Because there is going to be a hit to your ego. And do you genuinely want this? Maybe you do, but the way to find that out is not necessarily by making the jump straight away, but by actually getting involved in the fintech world. So what I often say, what I always say to people who want to transition careers and go from a corporate world to kind of a tech startup world or go to a more digital innovation world is generally it doesn't happen in one jump. Sometimes it does. So literally, I know somebody who's gone from working at the Bank of England to working at a tech company. That happens very, very rarely, and he has a very, very specialist skill set. Most of the time, what happens is you work in a large company, you work in kind of, I don't know, in this example, let's say JP Morgan, and say your aim is perhaps Revolut. The likelihood of just you going from JP Morgan straight to Revolut without anything in between is pretty unlikely. And the reason why is because the people at Revolut, if you actually look at, if you look at the company and you look at fintech companies, a lot of the time they're hiring from tech businesses and not from finance businesses. There is a reason for that. Like the financial system, it's really difficult. The user experience is broken for users. Like, I don't know if you, in the UK, it's really, really difficult and unpleasant to use the old school banks. The experience of using Revolut or Monzo is completely different. And that's because the people who are working at these companies, a lot of them are, user experience designers, they're growth hackers, they are people who have come from the tech world. And yes, you need some banking expertise. I mean, Nikolai Staronsky used to work in a bank. He was a trader. There were a bunch of traders who set it up with him. But the people that they're recruiting, a lot of those people are coming from the tech world. This is why if you want to go straight from banking into a company like Revolut, you are going to have trouble. And in fact, I know a lot of people who have tried that without following my advice, and it didn't work. So followed my advice, and this will work. So you are going to need some sort of interim step. An interim step is going to so I've got pen all over my hands. You can see I've been writing a new syllabus for one of the world's top universities. Hence thing. But anyway, so what was I saying? So basically, the reason why you want to get into some sort of like tech world, probably tech startup world, when you're working at a large corporate, is because you for yourself, you want to see that world in a kind of try before you buy fashion. You want to see whether that world is really for you, or whether you've just watched Silicon Valley and you just thought, okay, I'm going to go and do this. And I don't know, I'm going to go and like stand on the stage of TechCrunch and like be an innovator. Like right now, the tech sector is being really, really glamorized, but it is not for everybody. So if you're already senior in your career in a traditional business, like maybe staying there is a good idea. So you've got to try before you buy. Also, the reason why this is going to be useful for your target employer is they're going to be really worried. Like I've heard people in these companies, in companies like Revolut and Monzo say, well, it's really difficult for us to hire people with traditional banking backgrounds because they just don't cope with our culture. And they're used to so much more handholding. They're used to so much more reverence. And also like we're a different kind of company and they generally don't fit in. So this is why you need to have an interim step. So what kind of interim steps could you take? One is you could get involved with tech startups. So could you be an advisor to a technology company? If you're already working in banking, I'm sure that there are fintech companies that would really, really value your expertise. So become an advisor and get really quite hands-on so you can see what fintech and tech innovation looks like from the inside. And then you can see, like, am I actually interested in this? Because like maybe you don't like it. Find out. If you do like it, and if this is what you want to do, being an advisor in a tech startup is not only a fantastic thing to put on your LinkedIn profile, but it also shows your potential future employers that actually, like you've tested it, you know what you're doing. And it helps you build your network, because when you're an advisor to a startup, then you kind of have legitimacy to go to tech events, to participate in fintech events. This is how you start raising your profile, right? At some point, you can even start going on panels as an advisor to this company. You can start giving your opinions as a thought leader on fintech. This then gets you noticed. This is how you get opportunities coming to you. And if you do these things, if you get involved with a tech startup, or you get involved with a tech startup accelerator, or maybe you get involved with fintech innovation wherever you happen to be working. So if it's a large company, if it's a large bank, then there is definitely going to be some sort of innovation arm, their innovation department. Can you get involved with product innovation there? This is what I would recommend that you do. This is going to give you the skills that you need to make that jump, is going to give you the credibility, is going to give you the network. And finally, when you're doing all of these things, make sure that people know about it. Because what I see a lot of smart people do is that you follow my advice, which is great, I love it, but you don't tell anybody about it. If you don't tell anybody about it, nobody's going to know. Like, that's how it works. So if you're an advisor or you're involved in new product innovation, whatever you're doing, put it on your LinkedIn profile, people. Please, for the love of God, put it on your LinkedIn profile. Also, if you are actually working on something interesting and you're learning about it, share the articles and share the things that you're learning on your LinkedIn profile. If you're giving a talk, if you're on a panel and it is to do with where you want to go, Put it on your LinkedIn profile, because this is how opportunities come to you. This is how you also, like, if you want to upgrade your career, if you want to change your career, you have to change how people see you. You have to change your skill set, which is what I was talking about in point 1. And in point 2, once you've changed your skill set, you also have to make sure that people know about your newfound skill set, because that, especially at a senior level, opportunities have to come to you rather than you applying for them. Okay, I hope that helps. Okay, now we've got, I can see a question. Okay, Q&A box. Ella, hey. Okay, I'm going to read out your question. Ella says, Sophia, thanks for the session. You're very welcome. In airport lounge, so can't come on camera. Awesome. I hope you're going somewhere really nice. What is the most effective way, in your experience, to maximize recruitment of users to test a POC? Question is beyond the personal network, beyond the obvious, social media campaigns and tactics. Any creative suggestions appreciated? So I will tell you what I did, and I will tell you, like, I'll give you some stories of what people have done with a new product. And Ella, in the meantime, would you be able to tell me a little bit about your product? Like, as I'm answering, can you just write in the chat box a little bit about your product, so then I could give you some better ideas? So when when me and my team first released our app, and it was a retail tech app, we needed people to test it. So we were exactly in the same position. And we also didn't, we didn't really want our friends and family to test it, because when you have a new product, you don't want your friends and family to test it, because they won't be honest with you. Some of them will want to be extra mean. Some of them will want to be extra nice, but no, like, everybody's going to lie, basically. Also, they're not necessarily your target users. So who are your target users? Find those target users and get them to give you feedback. So the first thing I did was like, okay, how do we do this? And I looked at beta testing companies. There is such a thing. There is such a thing that you basically go to this beta testing company, you tell them, this is my product, these are our target users, can you go and get me some feedback? And large companies use these services. And I saw a beta testing company that basically would do beta testing for you and gather feedback for $3,000. So that's one way of doing it. I didn't want to spend $3,000, so I got creative, right? So I thought, I will tell you a little bit about our app. On our app, people would take photos of, clothes or of themselves, and then they would ask questions from stylists. So they'd ask questions like, shall I wear this on a date? Or is this handbag really worth $1,000? Or, this is in the sale, but it's a size too small, shall I get it anyway? And professional stylists and users in the community would answer. And so our target market was basically millennial women in urban areas. That's who we really wanted to test our app. So I thought, okay, how are we going to do this? How do we get a lot of feedback for free? So I thought, okay, well, who is really into clothes and who is really into design and who is also kind of into tech innovation? Who are going to be like, who is this set of people? Who is a set of people who is going to want to test my app because they're just generally curious about new products, but they're also in my target audience. So basically they're women who like clothes. And I thought, fashion students at fashion colleges, like, they're really into tech innovation. Students tend to be some of the early adopters. And if they're studying at fashion colleges, they're most likely to be women, and they are definitely going to be into fashion. So basically what me and my assistant did is we wrote to lots and lots of teachers, lots and lots of professors at fashion and design colleges in the UK, basically saying, we've got this app, we would love your feedback. And basically people who give us feedback, we will say that they did work experience with us, and like, they'll be able to put something on their LinkedIn. And you know what? It actually worked. I think we got about 200 people giving us feedback. And some professors said no, because they're like, oh, you're just trying to get free beta testers. Other professors said, you're trying to get free beta testers. I totally see what you're doing, but actually I think it's a good idea. And, well done for the hustle. Some people just ignored us. Some people just forwarded it to their students. So it worked. This is what we did. I've advised this kind of strategy to other people as well. So basically just think about who are your target users. So you already know who these people are. And then think about, okay, out of those target users, what section of the population just likes trying new stuff and giving feedback on it? Because there are some people who just enjoy being beta testers. Like they get a thrill of being the first people to find out about a new product. If you figure out where those people are, basically kind of go to those communities wherever they happen to be and tell them about your product, and they're really going to know that they're really going to enjoy giving you that feedback. So Ella says that she has created a brain health AI app, and it's a B2B product. So yeah, who is interested in brain health? It's probably people who are really into innovation and technology anyway. So you'll probably have already a bit of an early adopter market. Find out where they hang out and basically say, we've got this beta. We would love your feedback. Maybe also offer some sort of prize draw, like every 10 people are going to get, I don't know, an Amazon voucher or like some sort of tech book. Or, a free pass to Non-Techies. Ella says, here's another creative way. Let's get any listeners who are high-performing professionals and founders listening to sign up. Excellent. And the app is called revive.ai. Revive.ai. So Ella, well done for the hustle. Okay, so I've got another question coming in here. Hi, Sophia. My role was impacted as part of a mass layoff after close to a decade as a telco project manager, where I was trying to pivot into a product management role to try it out. I'm now trying to navigate the path forward. Would love to get any advice and suggestions. Okay, so I'm sorry that you've been laid off. That sucks, but also, it might be the best thing for you. Like, you know how these things are. It sucks in the moment, and it probably feels really, really scary. But often I find that in my experience, the times when have been like the hardest professionally are the times when I hustled the hardest. And because I hustled the hardest, I ended up actually coming up with something much better. And I ended up getting and creating much better opportunities. Because like when you're actually comfortable and like you're in a job that maybe you don't particularly like, and maybe it's not challenging you, but it's okay, it pays the bills and it's fine, like you don't really hate it, that's when we don't change, because like it's fine, whatever. Once we get pushed off the cliff, then we're like, okay, we start hustling, we start like getting stuff done. So this might actually be a push forward in your career. Okay, you said that you were trying to pivot into product management because you wanted to try it out, and now you're trying to navigate the path forward, and you are working as a project manager in a telco. So what I would say is that project management and product management are obviously quite close, but it's not exactly the same thing. So I don't know if you're working with digital products or not. If you were, then actually that pivot is going to be much, much easier. If you weren't, it is going to be slightly harder. So again, also, I don't know your seniority. If you're not super senior, then that is still the time when actually applying for jobs online is going to be really useful. What I would do is like basically focus on two main things: networking by getting involved in actual initiatives, and also working on how people see you, basically really changing, like optimizing your LinkedIn profile, making sure that people understand what you do now. Because so I'll start with the LinkedIn profile, because that's kind of the easier one, and then it'll flow nicely into the other bit. So basically, your LinkedIn profile is probably something that you created a while ago, and it was probably relevant to the job that you've just been laid off from. Like, great, but let's make it actually useful for what you want to do. You want your LinkedIn profile to position you for the job that you want, not the job that you have. And so my question to you is, does it do that now? I would assume it probably doesn't. I'll give you an example. Like, let's imagine, so slightly different example. Let's imagine you are a financial controller and you want to be a CFO. If you just talk about all the stuff that you're doing as a financial controller, when headhunters are looking for CFO positions, they won't look for you. They won't look at you. They won't consider you because essentially they'll think that that person's not ready. It is the same with any other job, basically. If you have to find what skill set have you already done that the job that you want is going to require. So if you worked in project management and you want to get into product management, think about like, what have you already done? What skills do you already have? Because essentially you want people to think, okay, he's already been doing this job. Maybe just had a different title because product management is actually quite a new job and it's quite a new job title. So definitions are still quite fuzzy. So see what goes in a product management role. What did you do? What can you legitimately put in your profile and apply to jobs that way? The most important part of your LinkedIn profile, by the way, is that, just that bit just underneath your name. There's just like a section of keywords. So basically put product management in there, product management or product manager, to make sure that you're coming up in those searches. Okay, so that's like the easiest low-hanging fruit for you to do. That's something you can literally do today, the moment we get off the call. Now, let's get on to the harder thing. You have now that you have positioned yourself as a product manager, this is how you're talking about yourself. You're constantly coming up with examples of how you have already been doing product management. Then you basically start networking your ass off and start telling people that this is the kind of position that you're looking for. So I'm sure that you already have a network. Like, have you told them that that this is the kind of position that you're looking for? Have you already told them what work you have done that positions you perfectly for this kind of job? If you haven't, then this is what I'd recommend you do. There is research that says that it's not our first degree connections that help us professionally, it's our second degree connections. So what I would do, and actually I get these emails I've sent those emails when I was first starting my company, is send an email to people you like. So your contacts, your professional contacts, your friends, saying, I'm looking for a job, I'm looking for a product management job in these kinds of companies. This is what I've done before. This is why I am a great product manager. If you know anybody who is hiring or who is thinking about hiring, please let me know. I would love to speak to them. So do that. So literally, again, that's something you can do today. Send out that mass email, but make sure that your resume attached, your LinkedIn profile attached, is already positioned for the job that you want to get to. So product management, not what you were doing before. Then another thing, it's basically what I was saying to our investment banking friend over here before. The same thing. You need to get involved with the community. So the tech world it's actually quite open. Like, there are meetups happening all the time. And basically, since you're not working, go to all of them. Like, find them on Meetup, find them like wherever you are living, there are going to be tech meetups. There are going to be product management meetups. Like, inevitably, unless you're literally in the middle of the desert. If you're in the middle of the desert, find them online. Go to talks where product managers from companies that you're interested in are speaking. Like, I know that in London, there's a group called the Product Group, and it's literally, I think now like 20,000 people or something on Meetup, and they literally just have like meetings fairly regularly when product managers product managers get together and they hear another product manager give a talk. They have an equivalent also in New York. So wherever you are, there is going to be something like that. Go network, meet people, tell them, A, you're looking for a role, but also do the same thing as I said to our investment banking friend, get involved in some sort of project. In your case, what's going to be really helpful for you about getting involved in some sort of project is that, A, you are going to have somewhere to go. And I know that like when you get laid off, when you're suddenly out of a job, it's really mentally disorientating. And you're like sitting there at home, especially if you're not maybe like that used to working from home, or like you don't have anybody to call, you don't have calls set up in your diary, you don't really know what to do with yourself. It's a really weird time. So actually having some sort of thing that requires you to turn up, other people that you're working with, it's just kind of mentally helpful. But also, if you do it strategically, that sort of thing can help you get your next job. So what are some of the things you can do? You can find a relevant product management meetup group or product management group, wherever you are, and basically offer to be one of the volunteer organizers. You could do the same thing with some sort of tech meetup, some sort of tech accelerator or innovation meetup. There will definitely be something like that is going to exist wherever you are. You could volunteer to be one of their organizers, help them organize an event. Like, what is a great way to meet people? Why now do I know so many fantastic people? It's because many fantastic people go on my podcast. Like, I'm not saying necessarily start a podcast because that's a very long-term endeavor, but you could certainly organize a product managers meetup or innovators meetup yourself with one of these groups. You can be the chief organizer. Maybe you can ask the questions, or you can contact the speakers. That's a great way to raise your personal brand. Great way to actually learn some stuff, because if they're good speakers, like, then they know what they're talking about, so you can learn from them and then pass off their insights as your own. And also then that's obviously a really great way for you to network with people, because I'll tell you what doesn't work. And I get this all the time. People message me all the time saying, "Hi, Sophia, can I pick your brain?" I'm like, my brain is extremely expensive. My brain has been cultivated with like extremely expensive education. And also, investors and corporates pay me very large amounts of money for my brain. So no, you cannot pick it for free. However, when do I say, yes, you can pick my brain for free for like an hour or longer? It's when somebody asks to interview me. When somebody asks to interview me, they're basically picking my brain. But if it's in front of loads of people, then I'm like, hey, it's worth it because I'm getting my brand out there and I'm getting known. So this is the way to network with senior people. Create a one-to-many opportunity for them, whether it's an event, whether you're doing LinkedIn articles, whether you're doing a podcast or whatever. That way you build your network. So I've done that with Non-Techies. An example actually in venture capital, there's a guy called Harry Stebbings who literally wanted to get a job in venture capital, and he was a student, like he was a student at undergrad, he was a college student. And so he started this podcast where he literally just interviewed venture capitalists. And honestly, I think his early interviews were just like, "Oh, you're amazing. Like, tell me how amazing you are." Because like he was young, and also he was trying to get a job, right? It wasn't going to be a hard-hitting interview. Anyway, so that's how he ended up meeting all of these venture capitalists. And literally when he came out of college, he had a job as a partner in a really well-known VC firm in London. So this strategy works. Like, again, setting up a podcast is a really long-term endeavor. You might not want to do that. And if you're looking for a job right now, it is also like, you're probably it's a bit more of an emergency. So what I'd say, find some sort of group that's relevant, say that, like, volunteer to organize an event, then get the speakers together. Ideally, you would interview them, but even if you're not interviewing them, if you're the one contacting them, you're the one liaising with them, you get to know them. So I have done this, and you know who else did this really successfully? Tim Ferriss. Tim Ferriss talks about how when he first moved to San Francisco and he basically didn't know anybody in the tech world and he wanted to build his network, this is exactly what he did. And, it worked out for him, it's working out for me. So this is a great strategy to build your network. And obviously with all of this, you also want to apply for jobs and you kind of do all the traditional stuff. But the path I have given you, it adds to the traditional thing, because the traditional thing, I think, it doesn't make you feel like you're being super productive. Like, you fill out a job interview, you press a job application, you press send, and then it goes into the ether, and like, you might never hear from them again, or like maybe you'll hear like in 2 weeks' time. And at that time, like you're twiddling your thumbs and feeling bad about yourself. That's crap. I don't want that for you. So the approach that I've given you is that you can take action every single day to build your network, to get known, to really understand where it is that you want to go. And this approach, coupled with the traditional approach, not only is that actually going to move you towards the job that you want faster, but also it's probably going to get you a better job and a better pay, and it's going to get you better paid. Because instead of just being like another person who's just applied on LinkedIn, you have done something creative, you met them, like they will be coming. If you follow this approach, they're more likely to come to you rather than just you coming to them. I hope that helps. And you know what? Most important thing, look after your sanity, because I've had times like these, and every single successful person has had something like this happen in their career, like at least twice. So don't worry about it. You'll get through it. It's just a kind of shitty part of life, but you'll be fine. If you're coming to my office hours and you're so proactive, that means you're totally fine. You've got these qualities. All right. We are now at half an hour. I promised that this was going to be half an hour long. I do have a favor to ask you guys. I am teaching a class, and it's going to be a free class. Hang on, I'm going to send it. And basically, can you just post it on your LinkedIn profiles? Because I really want people to come to this class, and I want more people to come to this class, basically. So I'm just going to stick it in the chat. I'll be super grateful if you could just click on it. Basically, and just share it on your whatever social media platforms you're using, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, X, or whatever it is. Basically, this is a class aimed specifically at business leaders. So it's like core tech concepts for business leaders. So if you have ambitious friends, which I'm assuming you do, if you've got ambitious friends who want to succeed in the digital age, they know that tech is important. They, maybe they've taken a coding class and then they basically just didn't complete it, or they don't want to, but they do want to kind of learn something about technology. Oh crap, I didn't send it to you. I sent it to myself. Excellent. This is the class. So basically just click on that link, because the moment I hang up, it's going to disappear. So click on that link and share it on your social media. Basically, that would be super, super helpful. Okay, on that note, my dear smart people, thank you very much for your questions. Thank you for coming. Loved spending time with you. You are the best. And have a wonderful day. Bye.